Right then, I have brought my tent model into Substance Painter. I thought I'd just continue this by showing you the process I might take to one of my models inside Substance. I have baked my textures, my additional maps for both my texture sets for the tent and the tent poles. I'm just going to delete out these base layers because they're not going to be needed. I'm going to focus on the tent first, which is the canvas kind of cover. I'm going to have a look at any smart materials that might act as a starting point. So let's have a look. Is there like a canvas, chrome, fabric burlap? Could be interesting. Could work. Fabric stretchy sci-fi. Fabric woodland might work quite well if he's a kind of camo. Fabric woodland used might be a nice place to start. Or let's have a look at just the simple materials. There's a fabric bamboo, fabric baseball hat, fabric denim, some leather back, fabric rough, fabric soft. Scarf wool, leather bag, knitted sweater. So let's come back down to our smart materials and let's start with one of these as a starting point. And you can see some of my own saved ones in here. So as I've been going along, I've been saving things. Fabric super. Tempted by burlap as a starting point, so let's put burlap in there. It's something interesting. Let's just take that out and see how much we can customize these. So that's starting to look quite nice. Let's see how much we can customize these patterns. So we've got this pattern. So if we were to delete this off, we could just come in with our own uniform colour, which is quite nice. So let's pick our own colour. So let's take this into the kind of organic looking greens, like so. And we well use this thing. So that's given us a really nice starting point. We've still got everything inherent from that in there with the fabric kind of stretches and stuff, but that gives us a nice. I think the dirt's possibly a bit. I like the additional folds it's added. It's got edge folds, the general folds. Thinking maybe the general folds. It's just a bit too strong. That gives it some nice variation though. go. The dirt, I'm not a big fan of the black, so let's just try and give that some so there's that dirt on top. And because it's been multiplied, let's put it onto overlay. It just gives us a subtler look. I prefer. And then we can put its opacity up slightly if we wanted to. I might be tempted to add another dirt layer in there. So I'm going to come down and add a simple fill layer. I'm going to make that kind of a... So don't be afraid to customize all these things. I'm going to put the roughness all the way up because I want this to be completely diffused and metallic down. And then I'm going to get a smart material, or smart mask even. I'm going to call it, let's see if we can get some ground dirt. Maybe some dirt occlusion, let's see where. You can see this working. So we've got some dirt occlusion in there. Let's just put its dirt level up. Like so. And again, if you're not quite sure what's happening, you can go for a really bright colour. So you can see what is going on. So I want this to be really tight in the edges. Gonna take the grunge down. There we go, so I want it to be collecting in the seams like that, so let's change this back to how we want it to be. Which is like a dirty sandy colour like that. So it's nice. I'm also going to have some mud where it's collected from the ground onto the floor. So I'm going to again create I'm actually going to duplicate this. I'm going to clear the black mask. Let's change its color again so we can see what we're doing. And then on here I'm going to use dirt complex, dirt dusty, edge damage. I want some ground dirt. There we are, ground dirt. We can see that that's now coming up from the ground. Like so. Yep. So let's go back. Let's change this colour to how we want things again. There we are, we're into kind of mud territory. Let's make sure that's fully rough. That's good. So we've got a nice combination of our original fabric that we've just combined together, and I'm just going to come to my bigger folds here. This to look a bit more worn than it was originally. There we go. So there's our tent. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now is just come to my tent poles. Let's see if there's any kind of wood-based, wood chestnut, wood walnut, wood beech veined. Let's go with this one. And again, let's come in here and don't be again afraid to play around with these. So there's our fibres being added, our base, grunge pass. Okay, so let's add a dirt layer in here again. So I'm going to add this inside here. Oh, that was a folder. Well done, John. So I'm going to make this again really bright again so we can see what we're doing. Smart masks. Let's go ground the dirt. There we go. Bearing in mind that this is under the ground from about here, so we want it to be appearing. I'm going to get the contrast right up. Like so. Yeah, that looks about right. Yep, so Y channel. Dirt height. Let's go level down, but get the height up maybe. Okay, I like that. So let's come back, change its colour. Something like that. And I'm just gonna up the level. A bit like that. And I might just come in and give this a bit more. Kind of mud-like saturation. I think that'll do. Let's just make sure that's fully rough, that colour. Here we go. And that's looking alright. I'm just going to come back to my tent. And I'm just going to drop a roughness channel along here. So I'm going to add a blank layer. this is only going to apply roughness to it. And I'm just thinking of just experimenting with rain running down this. And just seeing if that's broken up that uniformity a bit. So let's get that so we're not losing our colours. I'm going to change this to one of the studios. There we go, I can see what I'm doing now. I'm just going to rotate this around so we can see what's going on. And I'm just going to come to that's just broken up that uniformity a bit. Okay, so there we go. There's our dirty tent. I'm just going to make sure there's tent poles now. I've got it lit under this more uniform. Just going to bring down their darkness a smudge. Actually, that was the dirt. I don't want to touch that. Let's come to my base, and I'm just gonna darken that base up a bit. There we go. And then I'm gonna come to my tent. I'm gonna come into my fabric wooden and just change this a bit darker, and my layers of dirt that I've added, I'm just going to give a bit of variation in there, in so much that I'm going to duplicate that layer. But I'm also gonna add a black mask, and I'm gonna thinking kind of surface worn might work quite nicely, like so, just to give it a bit of variation. And I'm just going to change the colour of that one. Something a bit darker. I'm going to come down here. And I'm just going to add spots into that. Actually, I don't want to do that. In my roughness, I'm just going to roughen this up a smudge, like so. just to break that up a bit. And then what I'm going to also do, I think, is come to my fabric woodland here. And I think I'm going to actually just duplicate this. So I'm just going to create my own slight variation in this green texture by putting a slight hue shift in this, and then surface worn, and come back to this. Just to give it some variation in there. And let's come back to this one now. And it's just about going in there and often just playing around with stuff until you feel like you've got it as varied as you want it to be. So I actually want this to be stuff that's right on the cusp of the edges. Like that. We could, in fact, it's like a clay-based mud, and maybe we make this one brighter. So it's like a white, and then this one is a dirtier one. Like that. And that suggests a man who's used this tent quite a bit. So I'm just going to save that. Call this tent. And now I'm happy with that. I'm just going to export my textures. I'm going to export them as 16-bit PNGs. I'm going for 8K for everything as I've been done before. And these are all going into my textures folder for this project. Like so. And there we go. So that was my process of texturing the tent. So I can then now plug these into the principled shader inside Blender and have my completed scene, hopefully, ready to render out for finishing inside Photoshop. Many thanks.